This episode has been brought to you by Fornos Law Firm, devoted to optimizing your legal results at fornoslaw.com.
Welcome to Bush Rim Life After Injury podcast for January 30th, 2014, episode 35, Driving Independence. I'm Ray PIZARRO.
I'm Richard Bell.
Want to thank our audience for being with us. These episodes were and podcasts were created to talk about spinal cord injury related topics, disability resources, and also spotlight individuals that found ways to get past their challenges and are definitely a great source of inspiration. And with that, we brought our good friend along from Mobility Works that's going to be able to enlighten us on, trying to get back into driving again, and regain a piece of that independence that we lost when we got hurt. So we want to welcome Tony MAVROS to the show. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you very much for having me, gentlemen.
Yeah, glad to see you again.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I first met Tony through my friend Jerry O'Brien, who invited me to Oktoberfest up there at Mobility Works, and I got to talking with him, and we started talking about the podcast, and I thought it would be a great idea. Also, he's very knowledgeable, so we're going to pick your brain today.
Right on, excellent.
All right, for beginners, what is the process that we that you go from being in a chair, being at home, wanting to get back out and get back into a vehicle and drive? What's the process?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's a very good question. It really can depend in a lot of circumstances, but the first thing you want to do is to talk to your doctor, and the doctor will refer you to your occupational therapist. The occupational therapist will then in turn make sure that you are capable at some capacity to drive. And you'd be surprised. We got some pretty high level quads, man. We got some electrical controls in there. They just push a button, and you got some horizontal steering. There's a lot we can do depending upon your capabilities. And that really comes through your physician and your occupational therapist.
Oh, so if I was reckless before, that won't change though, right?
That's correct. You can still be just as reckless, but now with hand controls.
Okay. All right. So with that, what are some of the pitfalls that you know of?
A very good question. One of the biggest ones is where people will go online. They'll go to like Craigslist and just do a search for hand controls. They'll get somebody from Georgia who is totally completely different, get their hand controls in, get a cousin to install them because the cousin works at an automobile shop part-time, and it really wasn't for the individual. And then it becomes a liability, and that's really what you want to protect yourself from, because in this state, tort law prevails. So
it's not against the law, but you could be liable in a civil case.
That is correct.
Okay,
yes.
got you.
So what's recommended is also to find proper instructors, right, to give you driving evaluations or driver's training on that?
Yeah, exactly. So the Department of Motor Vehicles, what they advise is that you use an occupational therapist for your first evaluation. Mm-hmm. So that evaluation is really going to look at your capabilities. It's going to look at the type of vehicle you're going to be driving, what kind of driving you're going to be doing. There's all kinds of measurements and specs that need to happen because your hand controls really need to be able to fit you and fit your car. Because if you don't have it fitted properly, over time, you get bicipital tendonitis, some kind of shoulder pain over time. So it really can create some other problems. So the occupational therapist, who is a certified driver rehabilitation specialist, is really the bar that you're looking for.
And I understand that certain rehab facilities provide driver's training.
Yes, so that's true. They provide the evaluation through an occupational therapist, and they provide the driving there. Now, here is one of the trade-offs is people say, well, cost, because now you're going through a rehabilitation center. Of course, you're paying, the exorbitant amount for the cost, of course. Right. So, there are other people out there on the streets who are not CDRS, who are not an occupational therapist, that are doing these evaluations and are doing the training at half the price. The unfortunate thing is some of these people, even if they've been doing it for 30 years, still make mistakes in the evaluation, and that's where it becomes costly. Not only that, you want to find somebody who's doing the installation who's NAMITA QAP. And what that means is they're National Mobility Equipment Dealers Association. They are certified under their quality assurance program. If they are not, again, the liability to you is going to be huge. If you get rear-ended in an accident, you don't have to meet a QAP, you're not driver evaluated by an OTCRS, you will be held liable, and it wasn't your fault.
Well, how do you find out if somebody is a meter quad?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You want to see the credentials. You want to be able to walk into that vendor, that installer. You want to be able to see it pronounced
on the wall or something.
Absolutely, you know. And you can also ask for certification because you can get the stickers, you know, but you really want to see the qualification. And it's not a problem to ask.
Yeah, and a lot of times people, in order to save a little money, they go El Cheapo way, you know, and that's kind of like a danger, you know, and a hazard like we talked about before to everyone in driving safely. A lot of people think that portable hand controls are the way to go and they never had issues. But again, do you want something temporarily hanging on your steering wheel or you want something permanent on there?
Yeah. It should be a part of the vehicle.
Right.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know that you could still have hand controls and able-bodied people could still drive them because they don't cover the foot pedals, correct?
Well, that's not necessarily true. Now, here's how we can say that. For our company, it's corporate policy that if the end user is going to use hand controls and not using the feet, that we put a block over the brake and the gas pedal. That's absolutely for your safety. So that's required that we do something like that. Now, that is removable. So if your caregiver, your loved one, whoever it may be, is going to drive the vehicle, that can come off. They can drive the vehicle. But the problem is, now you have those hand controls that are not knocked out. So there are lockouts that you can get for that. So you really want to be careful because, again, it all comes back to risk and liability. And you really don't want to chance it in the state of California.
Right, yeah. Sometimes when we pull up to restaurants or events and, you know, you got the valet, that's another issue.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Big issue that we run across. We're like, I'm sorry, I can't give you my van because I have hand controls, you know, and so they put the little sticker on the corners that you're not allowed to drive the vehicle unless you've been trained on it. Have you seen those? I have
seen those stickers, and you know, it's really for everybody's protection. And people just seem to think that, you know, if this is out there, it's an embarrassment to me. It's shaming somebody, but you know, it's really for everybody's safety and protection. You could lose your house. You know, I've seen divorce. I've seen bankruptcy. You don't want to mess with this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so what else, what is there to watch out for when you finally get your hand controls, you're in your car and driving?
Yeah.
Is there, what happens if there's a failure or...
Oh my. The great thing about Namita QAP, if there's any problems that you have with those hand controls, we are absolutely 100% insured and we will cover you. Even if there is an incident, if there's an accident or something like that and it's part of the failure of the equipment, you are absolutely protected. You don't have a Namita QAP vendor or installer, you're on your own, you know what I'm saying? And you're going to be liable for a lot. So you are protected in a lot of ways. And you know, with an OT CDRS who does your evaluation, you get it done right the first time. When you use somebody like us, you get it done right the first time.
And also, Tony, is there like annual or biannual maintenance that needs to be done on the vehicles?
Very good question. Yeah, very good question. You know, what the manufacturer recommends is every 6 months. And the reason why, you're pushing on these things, you're pulling on them, you know, and
there's
somebody
screws,
like Richard's,
they're bolts.
yeah, exactly. Likes to push on the throttle. You know, you got to get those things adjusted. And again, it's for your safety, for sure.
So they would just bring it in and they'll just make sure they check all the bolts and screws are working properly.
Absolutely. And if there's any change in your condition, there needs to be adjustments as well. So you definitely want to take a look out for that. You know, in that process that we were talking about, you know, when you get your restriction on your driver's license, over time, there may be some conditional change, and you have to get reevaluated for that very purpose because you want to make sure the hand controls may need to be adjusted. You may need something different. But again, it's all about your safety.
Yeah, you know, one of these things popped up with me was that I found out one day that my driver license was suspended. I had no idea why. I went into the DMV, and I guess they had reported me to the DMV driver safety department.
Wow.
And you have to check in with them every 5 years or so, I believe. I don't know how often they're doing it now, to make sure you report that your condition hasn't changed and you're still healthy enough to drive those hand controls. Fortunately, I moved and never updated with them, so I think they did mail me something out to me, and they pulled my license until I got it, situated.
Absolutely. And again, it's all about the safety. Yeah, it's all about the safety of the individual. Case in point, we had an individual come in. She's been driving 20 years, got a new vehicle, wanted to take the old hand controls and put them on the new vehicle. Didn't have a restriction on her license. She'd been doing it for a long time. And unfortunately, we had to say, you need an evaluation. We can't do this without your evaluation. Of course, very upset. It was more cost of money. But as it started sinking in about the risk and about the loss, she started getting, okay, and I get it, it's for my safety. So that's just the bottom line.
Now, speaking about funding, what do any insurances, if any, cover adaptive equipment?
It's really considered a luxury in this state to be able to drive and to be able to hand controls. They are medical equipment, so there's no taxes, but no, unless if you're in a motor vehicle accident, and unfortunately it may be catastrophic, then that will pay. Workers' compensation pays, VA pays, Department of Rehabilitation pays, Regional Center will pay. So there are some payers, there's grants, there's foundations that'll help. Mobility Works does have a foundation where we do try to help as many people as we can. Our own region tries to help. So there is help. Even with our own certified mobility consultants, we do look for a way to get you into the hand controls and get you to drive. Absolutely.
Okay, with that, what are the differences? I know there's different kinds of hand controls.
Yeah.
So I see you have a couple of demos here.
Sure.
What are the differences between the different brands?
Okay, for sure. Well, the two that we really promote is MPS and SureGrip. MPS, what we have here on this demo is the Monarch 1As, and this is, we like to say it's a gold standard for sure. As you can see the difference between the two, it's not that SureGrip is inferior, and that's not what I'm trying to say, but you can see with the MPS, there's a lot of different controls, a lot of different adjustments, so there's a lot of things that we can do with just a simple push-pull, okay, which is really nice. And if you look over here at the SureGrip, we do have a variety of what you can do. Now, this really meets the needs of a lot of different people. There's a throttle. You have one here that's a throttle-based. You have one that's a push-pull down. You have different degrees of the handles. MPS does offer it as well. But again, it's all going to really depend on the type of vehicle you drive
and your ability.
And your abilities, of course, because, putting it into a Toyota Sienna versus putting it into Mercedes-Benz, you definitely need fasteners that are going to be different. SureGrip doesn't make them for all models. MPS doesn't make them for all models. So it just really will depend.
Okay, so they are model dependent.
Yes, that is correct. Model and make dependent, that is correct.
And also, Tony, is there, obviously these are mechanical hand controls. Yes. Also, they go up to the high-end, all computerized, mouth sticks.
Absolutely, you can get pretty high-tech. We could put a rover on Mars. We can put those kind of hand controls in your car.
Wow.
Absolutely.
No, I've seen people come out of vans, and I'm like, how the hell did you drive it?
There's no steering wheel. There's just push buttons. Yeah, exactly. We do all that kind of thing.
And the reason I got back into driving was a good resource that I used that helped me get back into the wheel again was the Department of Rehab. I was able to qualify with them and go in and talk to a counselor, and they have a lot of good programs. I work with the PASS plan with the Social Security Administration Office to save up for my vehicle, and working with Department of Rehab, they help me pay for modifications.
Nice.
So, you just have to be out there asking people, hey, any programs, but another thing is you have to be actually doing a lot of things for yourself also, as far as working or going to school part-time.
Yes.
But there's places out there where they can help you with funding.
If you take that responsibility, and if you want to drive, you're going to be able to. When you come in and talk with us, our certified mobility consultant will do that needs analysis, and we'll find a way. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I understand that you guys have undergone like a reorg.
Yeah, really we have.
And I've noticed that you do a lot of community stuff. So
yeah, good.
Can you
Thanks,
talk about some of that?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Over the years, Mobility Works has taken over some other types of businesses, mobility businesses, and along with that came, unfortunately, some some eggs that really kind of spoiled the mix a little bit. And, we have a new regional manager, new general managers, new service managers, really came in and cleaned house.
Right.
You can go to a Honda dealer and they sell 300 cars a month. We maybe sell 10. So we really base it on relationships, So our organizational culture there is really one of love and compassion and anything that we can do to help. We do a lot of goodwill. Our competitors, I've done a lot of things with Triumph Foundation.
I saw you at the party.
Right,
yeah.
Right, exactly, those parties. We do a lot of things with the MDA, ALS, these kind of organizations where we're the only dealer out there really taking part because we care about the community. We want to do something for them. If they don't come to us, as long as they find a solution, that's really what matters.
Yeah, we appreciate you also for doing that and being able to reach out to us and kind of taking time out to share these invaluable resources.
My pleasure.
This is
pleasure.
great.
Yeah. So, where can we find you? Where can our members find you?
For sure. You can give me a call on my cell phone, 818-441-4996. You can email me at tony.mavros@mobilityworks.com. Check out our website, mobilityworks.com as well. Come to the Van Nuys store on Sepulveda. Come to our Pasadena store on Altadena. And ask for me. And we do have, if you mention push rim, if somebody wants to rent a van, we're giving it to you for $89. It's a $129 value. We'll give it to you. $89. 2013s, fully loaded. We're also giving you, for your conversion, if you do have a van and your hand controls, we'll give you free inspections, 20-point inspection. It's a $112 value. We'll give that inspection. We'll tune it up for you. And, you come on in. We'll give you some maintenance as well. So come in and talk to us, and we got some surprises for you. Just mention push rim.
Great
Awesome.
deal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. One more question I forgot to ask you, Tony, was what type of vehicles are being modified these days? Because I know back in the day, you had A and B, either a full-size van or a car, right?
Yeah, very good question.
Now these days, a lot of vehicles are optional. Can you
absolutely.
quickly run across what vehicles are being
that's a very good point. In fact, we just have a Mercedes C350 sitting in there. We just put some MPS hand controls in, looking slick. You never even know they're even in the vehicle, and so we can modify just about anything. We've done a lot of work for NFL players, NBA players, Chargers, Camaros, you name it. There's a lot we can do depending upon what your needs are, of course. So most things for sure can be adaptable, particularly when it comes to hand controls, maybe transfer seats, valet seats where the seat comes out of the vehicle, picks you up, puts you back in. So it really depends on your needs and what your wants are, and of course expense. We could do a Ferrari. You got a Ferrari? Bring it in. We can adapt it for you.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I know you're thinking about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
cool.
For sure.
All right, so you know where to reach us. www.pushrim.com. I'm sure you're watching on YouTube. You can also find us on iTunes and where else, Ray?
Podbean directories. You could find us. We have a Facebook page, and there's just different ways. Stay connected. Definitely join our website at pushrim.com. This is where we make connections and just learn from each other and stay networked. It's just a great way to get past this hard time that we're going through with our injuries and be able to blossom and get back into the community one day.
Right, and get to driving.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for coming in, Tony.
My pleasure. Nothing but love. Nothing but
really
love.
appreciate you coming in, Tony, and your time and your expertise and all this equipment. This way our audience could know about it. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Remember, you guys, thanks again for tuning in. And remember, there's always life after injury. Get back out there and do your thing. Get back to work, to school, whatever it might be, and hopefully get back on the road safely. And with that, we leave you guys. Till next time.
All right. See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.